So thank you so much for being here.
It's an honor. Thank you.
I wanted to start off the episode by asking, what do you do and why do you do it?
Yes, so I run a content agency, specifically a short form video agency. And the reason I do it is actually different than many people. Like a lot of people get into social media marketing because they think it's this like crazy pool of money, which it can be if you do it right. But I've been making content since I was 6 years old. Literally, like there's videos where I picked up my dad's BlackBerry phone. A lot of people don't even know what that is anymore. And I was going around like vlogging my toys and, my dog. And that was just like always my natural inclination. But it wasn't until I got a little bit older that I figured out like, I can take what I like and monetize it. So the reason I do it is just because I love making content. So
That's really cool. So you dropped out of college with a full ride, right?
yes.
At what age? 18?
18. Yeah.
That's a big deal.
It is, yeah.
Where did you find the courage within yourself to do that? Because especially a full ride, I would be like, I sometimes I think about like, if this startup I'm working on goes really big, I'd be fine dropping out.
Yeah.
And I'm paying for it. But if I had a full ride, I'd be like, well, this is pretty much for free. Like where did you find that courage to do that?
Yeah, dude. I don't even know. Like, so to elaborate more, I was offered 4 years of free college and $40,000 to like be the head of MTSU's media. And there was just something about it that I just like did not want to do it. I knew it wasn't aligned for me. And growing up, I was always like very entrepreneurial. I feel like a lot of us kids were, but we never like truly jumped into it. So, I had my clothing brand and I tried this and I tried that and tried drop shipping because all these guys are doing it. So I always took risks, but it wasn't until like senior year of high school that I just like went crazy about taking risks. And I think that compound effect of just like putting myself out there kind of came to a crossroads where it was like, okay, now it's like a big adult decision. Do we stay in college? And for me, staying in college was like, I knew I was going to be miserable. I have nothing necessarily against college. I just knew it wasn't for me. I was just like, go, 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 bullet train energy, like build empires, take over, scale whatever we're building. So I would say the courage just came from like taking risks over time.
How do you motivate yourself? Because you talk about different businesses that you work on, your businesses that you have now.
Yeah.
How do you motivate within yourself? Because as an entrepreneur, for me, sometimes it's hard to, because it's just you, and you're the only, like you don't have a boss. You're your own boss. How do you stay motivated when you kind of don't feel like it, or maybe there's a lot of stuff going on in other areas of life? How do you stay motivated?
Dude, I could talk so much about that. I feel like it has its seasons because like at the end of the day, I don't rely on motivation, but there's some seasons where I have like so much motivation and so much energy and so much passion. But at the end of the day, it actually comes down to discipline. Like discipline is what's going to get you through the days that you don't want to push forward. But I also try to lean towards motivation as much as possible because like you probably know when you have that motivation, that dopamine, there's something about that energy versus like when you have to have the discipline energy that can sometimes get you further or even make you more creative.
Yeah.
So for me, let's say I'm in the season of like motivation. I try to like flesh out as much as possible. Is it ideas? Is it opportunities? Is it team members? And try to steward it as fast. But also I like to delegate. Like I don't like to do a lot of hard work. I try. It's really true. I'm very visionary, not implementer. So if I have that motivational energy, delegate as fast as possible to get someone else to build it bigger than I could. But if I don't have the motivation, which like right now is like a really hard season for me, there's not a lot of motivation. Like it's hard. You got to wake up. You got to do your thing. The biggest thing I just try to do is be 1% better than I was yesterday, even if that means like one more email or one more call. As long as I'm better than I was yesterday, I've just trained my mind that like that's okay. So
Yeah, I really like what you said with the 1%. And I've heard, I talked to different coaches and different people, and they've told me that some days your 1% or your I gave 100% today, I gave all that I had, is only going to be 40% of what you usually have because you have 40% in the tank. But if you give that 40%, that is technically 100% of what you have that day. Because I feel like a lot of people can get in like a shame cycle of I didn't do enough as I did back this week or a month from now when I felt more motivated, more creative, better. I feel that within myself all the time. So yeah, I think you, even someone as successful as you, saying sometimes you're going to be motivated. Sometimes you're going to feel super inspired. Other times you're going to just need to rely on the discipline and the habits that you've formed.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I think people don't realize too, and I didn't realize it for a while, that like everything you do every single day adds up. Like there's now deals that I'm closing that I planted the seed like 2 years ago. And people don't realize, like, okay, let's say you're wanting to start a business. You have to plant all these seeds. And especially in the beginning, like a lot of them are going to die. They're just not going to turn into something. But the more you water them, quote unquote, you put sun on them, so steward them is really what that is, the more that they're going to sprout. But like there's some days where it's like, let me slow down. You and I both know we live in a world of instant gratification. Like we want things now. We can get things now. If we wanted to order Chick-fil-A right now, we could even press priority and get it faster than what people typically order it. And so I feel like a lot of us, especially like young entrepreneurs, are cursed with like the instant gratification. Like we need it now. And so that's another thing, is like you just have to focus on what you can do today, because sometimes things will not sprout till, years later. But another thing that I learned too that I don't think a lot of people know is like the compound effect. So like even the fact that we're sitting here now all comes down to I dropped out of college at 18 and then I took this risk and then I started this company and did this and this, and it led up to this exact moment. That's why I think it's so important, to like put yourself out there and take risks, because it all adds up to exactly where you are right now.
Yeah, that is, and there's some gratitude that you can feel in that, of like, I'm in this room right now with you. I randomly met you at a place, like and then I reached out, and the fact that you responded, like this whole thing is all interconnected, and it's beautiful, seeing those like kind of butterfly effect things that happen from just one decision that you make and decide to follow.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I kind of want to dive into your view of success, and because you've had a lot of success at a young age. You generated, and tell me if I get these numbers wrong, you generated 6 figures by 18 and $1 million by 21.
Yes, in revenue. Yes, sir.
Okay, so you say that wealth isn't about money. How do you define wealth now, and what's maybe a mistake that you made early on when it came to money or wealth or something like that?
Yeah, good question. So I think at the end of the day, everyone's definition of success and wealth is different. Now, I've been blessed to like be around, NFL players, UFC fighters, maybe some big doctors in the space, like just so many big figures that have built themselves in the field that they're in. And I've been able to like ask them, because that's one thing about me, is like I'll always ask and I always want to listen because I always want to learn. So before I answer the question, it's just been interesting to hear so many different people's definition of success. But for me, based off of also observing other people's definition of success, it shifts over time, and like my values shift. So like if you were to ask 18-year-old me, my definition of success was like making 10K every single week and moving out and getting in the high-rise apartment. Like that was success to me then. But I would say, and it kind of answers the second part of your question, it was like very short term. It's like if your main focus as a teenager is like just make 10K every single week, it's like, but what are you building towards? Is there a bigger goal? Do you want to have a family? Do you want to have a nice house? Do you want to be able to travel? It's like, what are these things that actually matter? But for me right now, I'd say my definition of success and wealth is like making sure my mind, my body, and my soul is clean, it's clear, and it's growing. Because like if your mind isn't good, then you can't function correctly. If your body isn't good, better than anyone else, that creates so many other issues. So for me, it's making sure the mind is sharp, the body is healthy, the soul is good, it's clean, you're consuming the right things. Because like as a teenager, like I said, I was focused on the money. Now I wasn't one to be like degenerate or focus on like short-term satisfaction. I was never like that. Like I never did any of that stuff in high school, but I was just short-term minded with my money. It's not like I blew it on dumb things either. It's just I didn't think, how can I take this money that God gave me and steward it at the highest level and multiply it? So now even like my definition of success is like just stewarding and being mindful of the money you have and like compounding it as much as you can. And it's not even about the money. It's more about the freedom that the money creates.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, their view around success and money is shown to them and modeled to them by social media, by those things that
100%.
teach us about instant gratification. All of that is taught to us through social media. And I don't think social media is bad. It is a tool that can be used, but tools can also be used for bad things.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people think that wealth is like, oh, I have a huge house, I have this amount, I have a diamond chain, I have 4 Lambos, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
But for like the truly wealthy people, like what wealth really is, not just being rich, is like, I think of like Matthew McConaughey or something. Like he wears like
100%.
a Wrangler shirt. Like that shirt isn't super expensive. He has
his
like
truck.
his comfy pants. He has a Airstream that he lives on. Like it's just like wealth is such a different thing to different people. Like what you were saying with the different lifestyles of people. And a lot of the wealthy people that I grew up around shopped at H&M. And like it was not, we're going to Gucci, we're going to Louis Vuitton. And I think that's really cool. You talked about health.
Yes.
And like your physical health, your mental health. What are some things that you do that you would recommend to other people to help you with that mental, spiritual, physical health?
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest life hack as an entrepreneur is actually walking. Like that has changed my life.
Really?
Especially if you're walking in nature. Like I'm always on my computer. My brain never shuts off. I'm thinking of new ideas, how to do this, how to do that. Like just massive visionary. My brain does not stop. And walking, as you know, like reduces inflammation. It just helps with slowing down your thoughts. It keeps you very present. And then adding like the nature aspect on top of it is just unquantifiable, as I say. So walking has helped a lot. I try to hit the gym at least 4 times a week. I have to be careful though, because like when I hit the gym, I'm like very intentional and like very extreme. So that's why I don't do like every single day, or I would be completely burnt out, like really burnt out.
Yeah.
And then my food as well. I'm so weird about my food. Like no seed oils. I eat steak and eggs and vegetables and fruits every single day. You know, I stay away from processed foods. We're probably very similar on that. Supplements. And I didn't even realize like how important that was till like a year or 2 ago, which is crazy. But I'll do that. And then just, I think the people that you're around too is part of your health. It's like, are they sucking the life out of you, or are they adding to you, pushing you, helping you grow? I would say those are the main things, is like food, fitness, even faith. Like in my personal opinion, having a strong relationship with God is one of the healthiest thing you can do above any of all that. And then also the people that you're around as well.
Yeah. The people are very important for all of those other habits, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like you have people in your life who maybe don't eat the same way. That's fine. You can have them around. Like you can still be friends with them. But then when there are like big lifestyle differences, like how late we stay up and hang out and do all that stuff, and I can't hang out with you until 10 p.m. Well, I'm going to go to bed at this time or whatever.
Yeah.
All those things can really, it can be friction, and you can start to run into problems. And I find that in college, like of course everyone in college is like partying and all that stuff, and I'm like, people call me Unk because I'm staying in and I'm like knocking out homework and stuff.
That's good.
But it can be hard. It can be hard to find those people that align with you.
It is. Like I kind of experienced that in high school and college. Like I obviously took a very unique path. So once again, you know, growing up, you know, I was a very good student, like A's and B's. But my last year of high school was a little bit different because I started to open my eyes to the world, and I kind of just stopped caring about school. It was a crazy transformation. But with that is like when I started doing the social media stuff my senior year of high school, it started to blow up. Like everyone in Murfreesboro, like the high schools, would see what I was doing. They wanted me to film them in their sports, and it just was explosive because no one really did anything like that. Now I'm sure there's a lot of people, and I hope there is. But with that came like a lot of attention. But even then I was very intentional with like energy that I let in or around me. So like, yes, the popular kids would want to hang around, but I was just like very careful about that. But growing that attention and friendships in high school, and then going from dropping out of college, was also very interesting because now I'm like, I've got to give up a lot of these people that unfortunately just don't align with me. Like the vibrational state is just not the same. Like they're going into college, which is fine, but they're going to party, they're going to mess around. you know, if they want to start a business, it's because they're probably like drunk at like 3 a.m. They've got this cool idea. And like, that's just not what I can be around.
Yeah.
I've got to be around the hustlers and the killers, which is what I did. But that was, you know, that was a hard decision, but it was definitely worth it.
How do you find those people? Because a lot of people maybe feel isolated. Like, I don't know how to find these people, where to find these people. So I'll just kind of settle for those 3 a.m. drunk people because that's the only people that are around, because it can feel really lonely. And we weren't meant to be alone. We were meant to be with people. The Bible talks about that.
For sure.
That's why
Community.
God created Eve. Yeah. So how do you find them?
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't think becoming successful is hard. And it's going to answer your question. The reason I say that is it's very simple. One, you need to like figure out who you are, which is very hard as a teenager, especially in this day and age. So my best advice with that is like try as many things as possible. Take as many risks as possible, especially at a young age, and find the thing that you naturally incline to. So like for me, once again, I naturally inclined to content creation, even as a kid. And of course, over time, there was like agendas put on me, whether it was like societal normalcies or what my parents wanted for me or whatever. But I always just like try to tune out the noise and find the signal. And once you find the signal, that could be, you know, music. That could be even like a veterinarian. That could be a podcaster. Like find that signal and stick to it. So to answer your question is like, first you have to find that, because if you don't know like who you are or what you want to do, then you don't know what you're searching for at the end of the day. And then you just put yourself around people that have done what you want to do. So to answer your question is you don't actually find people. In my personal opinion, you attract them. And the way you attract them is you know where you're going, in a sense, and what you want to do. And you then have to just put yourself in rooms. So like for me, I had to move out of Murfreesboro, and I had to move to downtown Nashville, and I had to go to events and conferences. That's where the people, the clients really, were at for me. They're not going to be in Murfreesboro at the college university. So you have to just take risks and put yourself in those environments. And once again, it's that 1% better every day. You'll see so fast that you meet this person, and then it leads to this, and then they connect you to this, and then you've got this massive network and all these opportunities that you don't know what to do with. So to answer your question, I think it's more of attracting. And how do you attract? You follow that roadmap and put yourself out there. Like, I could rant for hours about it, but like, say someone wants to be, you know, they want to run a content agency, and they're like, you know, all in their head, like, I'm going to drop out of college, I'm going to do all this stuff, and I'm going to run this agency, and then they just do nothing. It's like, well, you're never going to find anyone doing that. You've got to find someone that's done what you want to do. You've got to get around it. You've got to take risks. You've got to spend money. And at the end of the day, if you have like a vision and goal that you want to achieve, if you just take risks and do whatever you can to get there, like there's no way you can lose, especially today. There's so many resources. So,
yeah, I really like what you said about the attraction, because I think when you have this, I've heard it explained as like a magnetic polarity. Like when you know where you're going, things sort of start to shift towards you and head towards you, and you start attracting those people, like you said. And I mean, the proof is in the pudding on this. Like you are not just saying this because you've heard it. You're saying this because you've done it. And I think, yeah, that is really beautiful that people will follow when you know where you're going, because a lot of people maybe feel aimless and they feel alone. But if you have an aim, you'll find people along the way on the path who are also on the path with you, that's what's important. They won't pull you over here, pull you over there. They're just going to walk alongside you and help you do that, or they're your clients or whatever. Yeah.
100%. And like, I can be so extreme about it too. Just like I said, I'm bullet train, I'm go, like ideas building, but it's so true. Like if someone is in college right now, like listening to this, or even in high school, I really do not think it is difficult to become successful. And once again, when I'm talking about success, it's about building yourself up, doing what you love to do. And the byproduct, just because it's how the world runs, is making money. But the reason, I say that is to your point. Like if you want to become successful, first figure out who you are, stop relying on everyone else. And I think there's a spiritual element to that. Don't rely on earthly things, rely on heavenly things, and figure out who you are, and then figure out what you like. Because once you figure that out and what you want to do, you just like stabilize that. and then you focus on that and you master your craft and you grow, it's like you can't lose. Like, you really can't. But once again, a lot of us are just so wired of like short term. We don't want to work hard. We think it's going to get handed to us. The cool thing is like the harder you work, the faster and naturally like things will start to come to your plate. So
how does God play a role in your entrepreneurial spirit? How does God play a role in your business? How does God play a role in motivating you? What do you recommend for people who believe in God, but they don't really know how to integrate it
for sure
with business?
Dude, that's a good question. Let me give you context. So like, I grew up in a very Christian, Southern, conservative family my entire life. So I would say I was blessed to like always have that as my foundation. And I also grew up in private school for most of my life until like the last few years I went to public school to do college, but that obviously did not work out. So I always had this very strong foundation, and I do believe that is like the best foundation to have to be successful. And I'm not talking about religion, because obviously there's so many different denominations. I'm talking about a relationship with God, with Christ. Like, I think that is key. And at the end of the day, that's what I rely on. Not necessarily religion, but a relationship with God. Because when you put religion in the mix, there's then humans in the mix, and it can get a little bit messy and dramatic and all that stuff. God's not dramatic. But to answer your question, I mean, it's literally everything. So like, I've gone through so many ups and downs in my life, as we all have, but obviously like they're natural and they are unique to me and they've shaped me. And through all of it, I've always relied on God as much as I can, because that's what's got me through. Once again, to go through just life and the hardships you have to go through to become the version of yourself you want to be. And if it's a very high and holistic one, you've got to go through a lot of stuff. You have to rely on God, because you cannot get through it yourself. So there's many practices, and of course, like, I fall short here and there. It's not always perfect. But I think prayer is like the biggest one. You know, being in his word is another one as well. Being around people in community that think like you do and work on their relationship with him as well. But for me, like, once again, like, I'm a Christian, so I believe in Christianity that when you accept him as your savior, you have the Holy Spirit inside of you. And with that, the more you keep your mind, your body, your eyes, your ears, your heart clean, the more you'll have his presence inside of you, and that'll guide your decisions. So I don't even know how to describe it, because it's like you have that Holy Spirit feeling. When you're at a very major crossroads in business, yes, you can use as much logic as you want to and the accumulation of all the knowledge and connections that you have, but sometimes there comes a point where you have to rely on that Holy Spirit feeling. And I don't know how to like articulate that, because it's like something that you can only experience if that you have that inside of you. But I would say like just relying on that feeling and that discernment, but it's more clear the more you have a stronger relationship with him. Does that answer the question? I know that was very long-winded.
No, that was a really good explanation. And I guess to add on to that, I feel that there are times in my life when I lean into it more, and you kind of you have to foster it, like you said, planting seeds, watering the plant, putting it in the sun so that it can grow. And when you don't do that, you don't feel the Holy Spirit with you as much, obviously, because you're not. It's a relationship. If you're not texting someone or talking to someone, how can you expect to be in a relationship with them? And you have to foster that relationship. So what I want to ask you next is, how do you foster that relationship with God? What does your prayer look like? Because prayer can be a thing that we're kind of taught.
Yeah.
But I've seen so many people have like weird ways that I've never seen people pray before, but they're amazing. And like, some people involve journaling with it and gratitude lists and all of that. So I wanted to see what your prayer life is like, and how you foster that relationship with God to get in tune with the Holy Spirit. Yeah,
it's a good question. Just to add a little bit of context again, is like, once again, I grew up like very Christian, conservative, Southern Baptist. And I say that because like I went to church 3 times a week, and then I would have Bible class every single day. So like I was experiencing church at least 10 times a week. And the reason I say that is like a lot of people, maybe people listening, have never really experienced church or relationship. But I'm saying that to say, like, I've experienced religion at the highest of highs. And once again, I don't rely on that. I rely on a relationship, because that is what is the solid foundation, and it doesn't change. Now, I think religion can be good, and it helps restore that. But to answer your question, after experiencing all of that, and even, going on my own path and not doing the traditional route, it's solidified my belief even more in, like, the practices that I do. So to answer your question, at the very least, because sometimes we have our days and you might miss it, or there's just a lot going on. At the very least, I try to wake up and say, thank you, God, for what was, for what is, and what will be. Because there's something about authenticity and gratitude. I believe enlightenment is the highest form of frequency. And if you stay on that vibrational state and you're very grateful and you're open and you're abundant about what was, whether it was good or bad, you see it through a lens of abundance and growth, or what you're going through right now, or what will come ahead. There's something about that it just, like, restores this lens that you have on life. Because I'm a firm believer that the lens you have on the life you're experiencing will directly correlate with the life that you have. Like, if you go through something, you have a car wreck today, God forbid, and you're like, oh, this is awful, my days, whatever, this is the worst October of my life. You can have that experience, or you can be like, you know what? Thank you, God, for, saving my life. Or maybe I had to go through this wreck because it would have saved me from something dangerous. Like, it's like the concept of the person that thinks they can and the person that thinks they can't, like, they're both correct. Like, the guy that's viewing this car wreck is like the worst thing ever. And the guy that's viewing this is like, you know what? Thank you, God, for another day. Like, they're experiencing their own reality because of the lens that they put on. So I know I'm going off on a tangent there. But, like, I try to just be as grateful. So thank you for what was, what is, what will be. Prayer is a big thing. And then reading his word is big. I've not transparently done a great job at that. But what I will do is I'll read, like, plans based on my season. So let's say I'm starting a new venture and I want to learn more about how to have, like, heavenly wisdom, or how to have just strong discernment, or even peace through, like, a very, hectic time. Then I'll read plans that are surrounded around that, because then I'm learning from the word, but then it's also backed by biblical texts that when something comes up, I can kind of renew my mind, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's really good, and also important for people who maybe feel like I don't know where those verses are, to kind of it's efficient in finding that efficient thing of what you're going through. And I also loved what you were saying about the viewing a bad thing as a good thing or a bad thing, or you can or you can't do it.
Yeah.
A guest I've had on in the past, his name's Robert Edward Grant. He talked about spiritual alchemy. That's what he referred to it as. Alchemy is turning coal into gold. And he's like, alchemy is real, but not physically in the real world, but in our minds. We can have this thing that's coal, and we can view it as, this is useless. I don't even need to burn anything. I don't need this. Like, why do I have this? Or we could view it as gold. This is a precious thing that I can have. And we have that power within our minds to do that. And when you shift your mind into gratitude, and how can I be grateful for this thing that seems so, like, I cannot be grateful for this. Why should I be grateful for this? Doing that starts to shift your mind. You start to get new brain pathways, and you're just, everything becomes grateful. And there's some times where you're going to feel super grateful and you really practice it. Sometimes you let it slip, like what you were saying.
For sure.
But no matter what, if you're focusing on gratitude, those things that you don't yet have but are grateful for, you're attracting. And those things are coming towards you. And then things are starting to align. You're having these crazy synchronicities, and you're meeting people, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really love that.
Bro, forget asking me what is success. Like, that's how you win, is exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Like, take risks and be grateful. Like, how do you lose?
Yeah.
You really don't lose.
Yeah.
I wish, like, more people would see that. But it's massive. It's like, you probably know more than many other people, is like how energy and vibrational states, like how important and powerful that is. And the more you focus on, like, anger and jealousy and all this stuff, like, you're going to stay on that state and you're going to attract those same things. Or if you focus on gratitude and enlightenment, which is authenticity, that's the highest form of frequency, and you're going to start attracting those. Like, people are always like, how do I, once again, become successful? How do I do this? It's not like this rocket science equation, nor is it you follow a course, right? It's, in my opinion, take risks, be grateful,
be authentic,
and work on yourself. Yeah.
That's like how to be a real life wizard. That's like the
Yes.
true magic that we have, is doing those things, because those all together work to have whatever success you want. And I think that's really amazing.
100%.
Yeah. For anyone who has a podcast or a YouTube channel or anyone doing content, what advice do you have for them to grow their platform and to get more people to view their platform?
Yeah. Okay. So we're asking some content questions.
Yeah.
There's so many pieces of advice I can give. At the end of the day, like what I do and what I've done the last 3 years is an organic content strategy. Like when people work with me, we're focusing on organic content. And it's not even like these annoying viral dance in front of the camera. I can't stand that stuff because I think it's inauthentic.
Yes.
Maybe it is authentic to some people, but I don't align
Maybe
with that.
the first couple people,
Bro. Like, I don't get that. And you will not find me doing that. But the common thread, ironically, that I've seen, I'll give a few strategies, but the number one common denominator that I've seen for every single client that I've had to be successful on their social media is actually authenticity. It's so crazy. Like I have a client of mine right now. She's been a client for about 17 months, which is a pretty long time. And we just got her into YouTube. And so YouTube long form, like 10 minutes per video. And I just knew she was going to be successful because she's so authentic. Her journey's real. She has a real story. She's not doing these viral weird dances. And literally we pressed publish 2 days ago on her YouTube video. And it already has like 1,600 views, which isn't anything crazy. But most people press publish on their YouTube channel for the first time and get like 3 views. But she's already got 1,600 views, probably more during this podcast. She's gotten like 50 subscribers. People are funneling to her Facebook group, all this stuff. And the thing about her business is one lead could be worth 6 or 7 figures. So it's like big time, right?
Okay.
So the reason I say that is number one is authenticity always wins. Like people think they have these boring businesses. They're a mortgage lender. They're an insurance agent. They're a real estate agent. It's like maybe it is boring, but at the end of the day, an ideal client, they're wanting your service and they're investing into you. So like forget, your business for a second and focus on you. Like what is your journey? What is your story? What do you believe in? What do you don't believe in? What do you like? What do you don't like? And figure out how to tie that into your content, because that's what's naturally going to attract people. Like if I'm scrolling on social media and I'm looking for a mortgage lender and I scroll through 100 mortgage lenders and 99 of them are like, here's your top 3 tips on how to get your first mortgage. I'm like, bro, I really don't care. But one of them is like, here's how I went from 0 to a $5 million net worth, and they talk about their journey and their story. Out of those 100, like I'm going to connect to that guy because it's authentic, it's true. He's humanizing himself.
Yeah, making it personal.
Yes. So that's one strategy. There's so much I could tell you. There are, at least what I teach at one of my educational companies, is there's like 35 different content types. Some of them are like a podcast like this. Like you could set up a fake podcast and like extract out of someone to like get that viral type answer.
I see people doing that a lot, like
It's
those
so
fake
smart.
podcast things for like, I think it was even like the Rocket.
Well, we did it with your dad actually.
Yeah.
And we're running it as ads and it's
Yes.
converting. Like
Yeah,
that wasn't
yeah.
a real podcast. Hopefully he doesn't see this.
Yeah.
But like that, it works. There's
Yeah.
a reason you do it. Reaction videos, like if you're sitting here reacting to a video that's tied to your industry, that's very smart, especially if the video you're reacting to has already gone viral because you're social hacking that video. So there's so many different content types that you could do. You could do educational videos, reaction videos, podcasts, street interviews. I mean, I could talk hours about it because that's what I do for a living. But
yeah. Okay. How do you find those viral moments? Because it can be hard, even like within my own podcast, when I'm looking at the completed podcast and I'm looking at this, I'm like, this could be good or it could be terrible. How do you find those? What are your criteria for that?
Let's focus on yours specifically. We'll do
Okay.
like free consulting here, I guess.
Okay.
I haven't like dived much into yours, so like I haven't seen like all your platforms and stuff. But for someone like you, we have to, well, really anyone, you have to like reverse engineer. So you have to ask yourself, and even if it's like a passion project, you still kind of have to like, what is the ideal viewer? So obviously it's not like a mortgage lender podcast or like a, you know, a medicine podcast. So like, I guess my question to you is like, your end goal, what is the ideal viewer that you want on to watch your podcast consistently?
Probably like personal development, Chris Williamson, modern wisdom type of, like, not entrepreneur bros, but sort of that type of situation. People who want to better themselves.
Okay. So, and I know you know this, it's just like part of the process. Yeah. If that's the intention, every single conversation, every clip you make, whatever, you need to try to keep that in mind. Because if that's the ideal client, you don't want to, or not client, ideal viewer, you don't want to clip up something that we're talking about, I don't even know, like, just something not aligned. Yeah. I was going to come up with an example, but I'm not saying that. So every conversation you have, every question, every clip you have, you at least want to focus on that, at least 80%, because that's what's going to capture your audience. So you have that. Obviously, your guests are a big play, and that can be a massive engine to growing. So like cross-pollination. So if you were to make clips out of this, and there's a really good moment, and I'm like, well, I like that, and I start sharing it, that's going to start getting some of my audience to view your stuff. So a lot of cross-pollination is huge, and that's how like a lot of these big guys, you know, Hermosi, Gary Vee, like people are able to grow because they're collaborating with them and cross-pollinating. Yeah. And some of them pay for it, and it's just part of the game. But cross-pollination is huge. I know I sent you one of my YouTube videos, but like there is a science and psychology of certain clips you choose. Like I tested it on that YouTube video. I set down my camera. I had someone ask me about dropping out of college. I answered it in a certain way with a hook, and then we clipped that. We edited it, and it got like over 1 million views between TikTok and Instagram organically. Like I don't pay for views, none of that stuff. I'm very transparent about that. So like clipping up the right moments. But I think for you, to sum it up, is like the right guests, clipping that up, cross-pollinating, and just like feeding that content engine. Especially in the day and age of where everyone's posting content, you just have to feed it and feed it and feed it. And you'll start to see too, at least I'll start to see patterns of like what is working, what isn't. And of course you want to be authentic with your podcast, but maybe once you start seeing patterns, you can like kind of sneak it in and sneak in different ways that you're extracting things out of people.
Yeah. So, I think all of those factors together is what works. Like what you 100%. Were saying, because I've had episodes where it's maybe one of those things, like a huge guest. Great. They have 700,000 followers. This is going to be awesome. And then it flops. And you're like, what? How did that happen? What?
Yeah.
But when you have all of them together, something really, really pops off. And I think it is kind of hard as someone who's doing content to remember who your viewer is and consciously do that, because you kind of get like lost in the sauce a little bit, and you're thinking about, okay, well, I'm trying to get this done and this task done and that. And then you've already completed all the tasks and you've edited everything, and you're like, wait, I forgot who I'm trying to do this for. I was just doing this for me, and now it's bad. And
that's true.
Yeah.
Dude, I think even for you, just like random advice is I always go off of like, grow where you're planted, steward the cards in front of you. So like, bro, you're in Nashville. I'm telling you, because I grew up in Middle Tennessee almost my whole life. Not Nashville specifically, but Middle Tennessee. There's something about Nashville that it's got all the cards to be successul right now. So the reason I say that is you've got the Southern hospitality. That does not compare to anything. Like Southern hospitality is next level. And if people don't know that, they have to come to the South and experience it. Then you have the entrepreneurial spirit of Nashville. So you've got Southern hospitality with entrepreneurial, but also I would say you have a big spiritual side. Not everyone is religious, or of course not everyone has a relationship with God, but like the vast majority of people in the South and in Nashville, they at least know what God and spirituality and abundance and all that stuff is. And when you take that combination, like it's very dangerous. Whereas LA, like you have some of those elements, but then you've got like the complete opposite on some of those elements. So I'm a firm believer, like when you're in areas that are operating off of those energies, like everything just comes together. In Nashville, I've experienced it being a little 18-year-old that moved downtown, didn't know what the heck was going on. It's a very collaborative environment. People will, if they can see what you're doing and can see that it's legit and you're not like a fraud or scamming people, like they want you to win.
Yes.
So the reason I say that is like my advice, bro, is like try to find as many like killer business owners in Nashville and interview them.
Yeah.
Because if your ideal viewer is like self-development or whatever, like find those people and just interview them, and even like offer them free content out of it. Like I know that would crush. If you go to this big business owner and you're like, I'd love to interview you, you know, all I can do in exchange is give you like 20 viral short form video clips. I would say they would probably do it, but that's the way you can just like get in and grow insanely fast. Like I know for a fact you'd crush.
Thank you. That means a lot, and I will definitely pursue that because that's a wonderful idea. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're so what the heck? Yeah.
Even at college, like there's got to be like some influencers or whatever there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, bro, interview them.
Yeah.
Like start collaborating and it'll just compound effect.
Yeah. There have been some people who like in like my first semester at school are popping off, and you see them like, okay, I'm keeping an eye on you. I'm networking with you, connecting you, planting seeds, and then in the future this is gonna be something great. And I think networking is really important for success as well.
It's massive.
Yeah. Okay. For me and my personal success, my morning routine is like the most important thing to me. If I'm not doing that, nothing gets done. Everything gets messed up, and I feel like I've failed every single day. What does your morning routine look like, and how does it play a role in your success?
Yeah, I'm always open and transparent as much as I can be. It has seasons. It really does. So, like, I'll be honest, bro, there's some seasons where I have to get, like, 10 hours of sleep. And then there's some seasons where I'm, like, 5 hours of sleep. Like, we're just grinding. We're making it happen. And there's a lot of things that, like, there's a lot of accumulation of things that directly correlate to why I need that. Like, dude, I'm only 21. Like, I'm still growing. And I have to, like, sometimes remind myself that. It's like, yeah, red pill, build empires, go to war. But also I'm like, dude, I'm still growing. I've got, like, 4 years of growing. I need to, like, sleep sometimes. Yeah. But also this is the time to, like, not sleep. It's the push and the pull. So the seasons that I'm not sleeping, I'll try to wake up at, like, 6 or 7 in the morning. And what I'll do before is schedule my day. That has been a massive life hack, is, like, even if it's, like, a 10-minute slot from 10:30 to 11 a.m. we're going to post these clients' videos, whatever. Scheduling my day before, waking up at like 6 or 7, and I'll try from like 7 to 9, knock out as much as I can, just like go. And this is typically like the quick, simple stuff and not like the deep thinking stuff. Then around like 11 to 2 is when I'll do, if I've got to script a YouTube video, if I've got to be on calls, which I hate meetings. I think most of the time they're super useless. But if I've got to do that, I've got to be super intentional or prep for something, I'll do it during that time. Depending on the day, around 2 is when I'll hit the gym, or late at night, because it like separates my day. And then in the afternoon, it just depends on like what I have on my plate. When it's not like go and my body needs some rest, I'll probably wake up at like 9 or 10, like no alarm. I'm just blessed to be in that position. And then check in on the team. Most of my team is actually overseas, so they're anywhere from 6 hours ahead to 13 hours ahead. It's a very interesting mix. Check on them, kind of do what I need to, and then follow that same path of like, hey, I've got to like be very intentional with these few hours, and then the gym at night. So
Interesting. I usually work out in the morning, but
it's hard.
Really?
For me. It's so hard for me.
Well, I guess if you're waking up pretty early, it can be tough. Yeah. I usually kind of do a couple things before I work out. So I wake up. My morning routines usually wake up, some sort of gratitude practice, and then work on a couple things, drink my coffee, and then work out around like 9-ish. Yeah.
Dude, I've had so many morning routines. Like, if you were to ask...
And it switches, and that's okay.
Bro,
and I think that's important to let people know, is like, you don't have to do what David Goggins tells you to do every single day.
I agree 100%.
It can shift, and you can feel like this in one season and change it to maybe you're working out at night in a different season, and you don't suck. You're not bad because you're doing it at night. Like, that's fine. And I think that change is good and important.
100%. I think at the end of the day, no matter what you're doing, it has to be in alignment with you. Now, not to make you comfortable. Like, there's a difference between staying comfortable and not growing in alignment. So, like, once again, 18-year-old me, bro, when I moved out of Murfreesboro downtown, like, I had to do whatever it takes now to really make it happen. So 18-year-old me dude, I was going to bed at 6 in the morning. Like, I was going to bed at 6 in the morning, staying up all night, building, trying to figure out this business model. How do we scale it to the highest level? So that served its season. I don't need to do that right now. And to your point, like, I actually for a while would get in my head because you hear all these, like, these, not even biohackers, because biohackers are all about alignment as well, but like these very masculine red pill guys is like, you got to wake up at 5 a.m. and do your cold plunge. It's like, those things are good, but is it in alignment? How can we create a schedule that is in alignment? And that's actually a factor that has helped boost my success, is putting my day and articulating it in a way that is in alignment. Because once again, the 5 a.m. whatever, that works for like those David Goggins guys, but it actually might not work with the way that you're wired.
Yeah.
Can you switch it? Maybe, but why not put your day and align it in a way that pushes you, but it's also in full alignment?
Yeah, I think a lot of those entrepreneur guys are kind of an unhealthy example.
I agree.
I think if you mix the alignment of biohackers with, which is what a lot of these guys are having to do now. Like, you look at Chris Williamson having to get an entire blood transfusion because he's so unhealthy in certain ways. Like, he looks healthy, he's jacked, he's great, but there's deep things inside. You're not getting enough sleep, you're not eating right, you're not doing these things that are going to mess you up. And I think if you mix those two, which is what I try and be a good example for, you're going to live a healthy life and a successful life.
For sure.
And health is part of success. Like, you have struggled with Crohn's disease, yes?
Yeah.
How did that kind of impact your life and overcoming that and working alongside that? Because you can't just fight it. You have to kind of live in harmony with where your body is.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I could honestly talk hours about it, especially with like how you grew up and your background. Like, it changed my life. It completely shaped my life too, and it is one of the factors of why I am successful. But it's because what I decided to do with it. So I'll kind of give you a little bit of context. When I've kind of had health issues growing up my whole life, like nothing extreme, but like I had a lot of food allergies, and I would have like issues with my skin. Now I know what that is, studying a lot of like holistic and Eastern medicine stuff, which I'm like, what the heck? There's so many levels to it. And it also like makes you rethink everything that we've been taught, but that's a whole, you gotta be careful. But anyways, so around 17 years old, I started to get like super sick. Like, my stomach was hurting all the time. And then it got to the point where it felt like my intestines were just like being squeezed 24/7. I got so sick that every time I went to brush my teeth, my digestive tract thought I was going to eat. And then it like freaked out, and I would like throw up every time I brushed my teeth. And there's so many like horrific stories I could tell you that I just probably will not do of how bad it was. Like, my intestines were so inflamed that GI doctors of 30 years were like, we've never seen this before in our life. Like, we've never seen it this extreme. So for people that don't know, is Crohn's disease is basically where the white blood cells in your intestines thinks your body is foreign, and it just eats and attacks it away. So it's literally eating your intestines away. So not only did I have Crohn's, I also had C. diff, which is like, I think it's a bacterial infection on top of that. And then like colitis, like it was like everything at once. So to answer your question, I lost like 30 pounds in a month, and it's like, dude, I can't lose that. So I got down to like 120 pounds at 17. My arms were so small that you could put like my thumb and pinky around it. Like, you could see my ribs. Like, it was very extreme, and it could have gotten worse. But I'll get to that in a second. And I was in a relationship at the time as well. I think like a year and a half into it, maybe a little bit longer if you count like before the relationship. And like, I was not myself, dude. And I'll be so open and honest. Like, I was physically dying, like literally physically dying. Mentally, I was drained because of what I was going through, but also the meds I was on. I was taking like 300 pills a month or something crazy, because that's just what they love to give you, and I'll leave it at that. But that medicine as well like messed with my hormones and my brain chemistry, and I didn't know that either. So like, I'm going through all this stuff, so mentally I'm a completely different person, and it wasn't a good person. It was just like sick, angry, sad, but I couldn't control it with everything. So mentally, physically, spiritually, I'm just like dying. It's like, like, what the heck? And then I'm a broke high school student. So like, financially, I'm broke as well, obviously. So long story short, like during that time, even my relationship crashed, and you can imagine the toll that it took on me as well, just like all these things. And so it took months and months and months for these doctors to like finally figure out what it was. And then they started prescribing me all these pharmaceuticals. So, dude, it was honestly so depressing. The first pharmaceutical I took, I think, was Remicade. And I would have to, every 6 weeks, maybe it was either 2 or 6 weeks, I'd have to go in this little room with all these old people that were like actually dying. And they would put an IV in me and they would pump Remicade. And it would take 2 hours to pump inside of me. And these are like, as far as I know, extreme immunosuppressants. And it was so depressing, bro, because I'm sick, I'm tired, like my relationship crashed, and all I see is all these old people like doing whatever it takes to stay alive. And I'm like, bro, talk about environment and how that shapes you.
Yeah.
So we started to pump that into me, and then it like kind of fixed some things. And then there was one moment I went in and I had a allergic reaction to it, and like my throat started closing and like all this crazy stuff. And then the doctor's like, oh, wow, I guess that's not supposed to happen. Let's give you a new pharmaceutical. I'm like, so I went through that a lot, but I know that's very long-winded. I just wanted to give context because I've actually found so many people that have gone through the same thing. It blows my mind. When I was going through that season, like, dude, I lost everything. I lost my relationship. I lost my physical, my mental, like everything was stripped from me. And I remember I was laying on the ground. It was like the summer of 2021 when I was going into my senior year of high school. And I wasn't like, God, why is this happening to me? Why did you take the relationship? None of that. That was just not how my brain is wired. I was just like, how? How can we turn this grave into a garden? How can I pursue my full potential? How can I prove people wrong that didn't believe in me? Because that serves a season. And it just completely shaped me to not be dependent on anyone else. Don't be dependent on a relationship. Don't be dependent on what people think about you. And just lock in, rely on yourself, push yourself, grow. And over time, I was able to build what I build. Like, it fueled me like crazy. Because, dude, I always say, and this, don't take this in the wrong context, but I had to, like, kill my old self. Like, we had to get rid of him. Because I did not want to live and be that same kid that I was. Like, I wasn't a good version of myself. So it completely shaped who I am today. A very long-winded answer, but.
No, yeah. Wow. It reminds me a lot of Job's story, and rising and staying faithful and true even when you're in a place where it seems like you've lost everything and hopeless. And I think also how you turned it, you alchemized it into this, I'm going to prove people wrong. I'm using this as motivation, because you can use pain as something to just make you feel bad and you maybe want to cause more pain in the world, or you can use that as a motivating factor.
For sure.
And like, I'm going to change this into something great, which is what you did. And it's amazing to see you on the other side of that now. Yeah. And be in a place where you're motivating others, changing others' lives, helping people grow, helping people achieve their dreams. And you're also achieving your own dreams, which is amazing. Yeah. So thank you for sharing your story.
Of course. Well, I always say too, like, no matter what someone's going through, this is how you're going to be successful or not. You either let it refine you into something greater, or you let it define you for the rest of your life. So I'm like, I got broken up with, I have this chronic disease, I have all this stuff. Is this going to define me? Is it going to say this is who I am? No, it's going to refine me into something greater. And of course there's like a spiritual aspect of that, of like where you find your identity and whatnot. But I think that's another way people win. Like, we all go through hard times. Some of us go through like truly traumatic times that change our biochemistry, that change the way we think, the way we react to things. And I think the best way that you can become successful and win through hard times is, no matter what you go through, let it refine you into something greater. So
yeah, that's really good. That's a really good quote. All right, these next couple questions I'm going to ask you, I asked to almost everyone. Okay. And it's kind of like a speed round of questions. Okay, let's do it. And I think they're really important because a lot of these things, they're based on reading, quotes, and then advice. And I think everyone universally who is successful does those kind of three habits. They're gaining advice from people. They have some sort of quote that they're using at a certain time to succeed, and also they're reading something or listening to something. Yep. So first question is, what book has changed your life?
48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene.
Interesting. Why?
the way that my brain works is I like to reverse engineer. So if the main goal is make $100,000, I look at that end goal first and then reverse engineer whatever it takes. And the reason I mention that is with Robert Greene's book, power can be a good thing or also a bad thing. Like we see it, you know, in politics and everything. But if you can master power, like you can get whatever you want, not necessarily focusing on like a negative connotation of it. It's like, if you understand these principles, you can be able to manipulate and move pieces to get to where you want to go. So the reason it's changed my life is just like I want to learn how to be powerful. I want to learn how to be powerful with money, with the way I articulate my words. I want to be powerful in all aspects. Well, how do I do that? I read one of the most, you know, influential books on that. Think of my end goal and reverse engineer and learn everything I can about it and figure out how to apply it. Because like power is not a bad thing. No. Like it can be, yes, if it's at the expense of people and it harms them. But if you master those laws of power, you can be able to steward that and use it to get what you want, honestly.
Yeah. Reading that book was really weird. Because it's kind of some of the things you hear are evil. Like you're hearing like, this is how you do this. And you're like, this is horrible. But I actually really like it to kind of flip it and be like, okay, this is how I make sure that these things aren't used against me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too, is like if we're talking about reverse engineering, it's like if the goal is to make 100K, you also maybe want to know how to not make 100K. Like what are the habits and things that are people are doing that are not getting them to that goal? And it's the same thing you said, is like, I want to learn whatever it takes to get those rules of power, but I also want to know what the people are doing to use it in a bad way, so I can identify those patterns and either stay away or use the strategies that I'm learning to combat what they're doing. So 100%. And I love how Robert Greene, he has like, for almost all of them, a reversal of the law at the end of all of them. So you can kind of see in some case scenarios where you actually have to use the complete opposite side of the law to then gain power from that situation.
Yeah. You're kind of using both of those things. Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thanks. What quote has changed your life or is sticking with you right now in this phase of life?
So this is the quote that I started using when I was at the lowest point in my life. It was, take the risk or lose the chance. The reason being is a risk for me at that time was like raising my hand in class. It was socially awkward. I didn't talk to the teachers. A risk was like asking that girl for her number. A risk was going to the football games because I never went to a football game. Take the risk or lose the chance, because you never know when you put yourself out there, when you make yourself a little bit uncomfortable, what opportunities will come out of that. So I started very small, and then, you know, now today risk could be worth, you know, tens of thousands of dollars, but you have to start somewhere, because the more risk you take, the more opportunities you get, and the byproduct, the more opportunities is the more money you make as well.
I really love that. I read this book one time. I can't remember the name of it, but it was pretty much this guy for 100 days did something where he was almost positive he would get rejected by it. And it got like progressively worse by the end of the book. So he would just go up to someone's door, knock on the door, be like, hey, I see you have a soccer net in your backyard. Can I play soccer in your backyard for like an hour? And they're like, why you asked me that? And he's like, well, I just wanted to see if I could do it. And they're like, yeah, whatever, it's fine. It was super weird and awkward, but he thought he was going to get told no. Yeah. And then he goes to McDonald's and he's like, hey, can I get a burger for free? And they're like, I guess. And you start to see that these risks that like societal norms tell you, do not do this. This is something that doesn't happen. You have to pay for the burger. You can't just go in someone's backyard. People start to say yes to, because maybe those things, that this glass box that we're in isn't as real. And it was cool to see that, like, take that risk, do that thing. And those are silly, but in business, it's important to know that, like, if you ask, like I ask my professors all the time, hey, can you make me a study guide? She didn't give us a study guide for an exam. Can you make me a study guide for that? She's like, yeah. No one ever asks her for that, but they'll do it. Or when you're taking a test. I took a test this morning, and I was like asking her questions about stuff like that you probably shouldn't ask her, like literally essentially for the answer. And she's like, I mean, I guess, yeah. And then I'm getting answers to questions. She's not necessarily helping me cheat, but people don't ask the questions because they're scared to, or they think they can't. And I think that the more risk you take, I mean, the worst thing it's going to happen is just say no. Like,
it's so true.
Yeah.
Dude, there's so much I could say on that. The first thing is like the confidence it builds inside of you. Like, once again, bro, if you met me at 18, like early 18-year-old, bro, you got to imagine, like, I just came out of like losing everything, including my health. So like my identity, I didn't even know who I was, but also I didn't really know who I was before that either, which is why I'm very grateful for that season, because it helped me realize, like, God was like, I just took everything from you. Like, where's your identity, bro? Like, oh shoot, I've actually got to build it. I've got to build this foundation and build it on the right, high, holistic things. But to your point, like, I don't think people understand the unquantifiable value of like the confidence it builds inside of you. And that energy of confidence, one, it can be very intimidating, which is good in certain situations, but two, you can win so much from that. So yeah, dude, it's crazy.
Yeah, and you understand that you can't be stopped. Like there's nothing, like the things that there's nothing that is outside of yourself. Like you have it within you to at least ask. It doesn't hurt to, and the no's don't hurt as much. I think that's really important. Like the no's stop hurting, or they're not as scary, because then when you get told no, you're like, okay, cool, and then you move on. 100%. It just rolls off you. But those first couple no's do suck.
They do, bro. There's there's another quote that I live by. I know you didn't ask, but I just have to drop it. Is I'm a firm believer that there's nothing more dangerous than a man that knows whose he is. So he's of God, from God. So whose he belongs to, who he is individually, and where he's going. So once again, there's nothing more dangerous than a man that knows who he is, who he belongs to, and where he's going. Because it's just that level of like holistic confidence. You cannot stop them.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
The next and last question is, if you could tell 18-year-old you one thing, what would you tell him?
Oh man, maybe I should have looked at these questions before.
This one always stumps people.
Dude, if I could talk to my 18-year-old self, there's a lot of things I would say. I would say to never lose sight of your vision and creativity. Never give that away to someone. Protect it as much as you can and steward that. I would say to think a little more long term. Those 10K weeks were amazing, but also like, what is the long term vision, and how can we steward the abundance in which God is giving us to then feed that vision and expedite that process? I would say that. I would say take more risks, talk to more people, get myself out there. And I think the last thing I would say to him is like, it's okay to have hard days. Like, that's part of the process. Don't believe that it's got to be so picture perfect. Like, you have to go through the storm to build what you want to build. So
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being with me.
Bro,
this was a great conversation.
It's an honor to be here.
I had so much fun. Where can people find out more about you and what you're doing? And if they're interested in working with you, where can they go?
Yeah, so my main two platforms is Instagram, nick.lauer, Lauer. That's my Instagram, and then I have kind of like an entrepreneurial type YouTube channel, which is the same @. And then I've got my company pages as well. So.
Sweet. Awesome. And the link for those will be below, so use those links. And yeah, thank you again for being here.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. I'm going to look at this camera. Awesome. Sweet.
Thank you, bro.